The purpose of using quotations in your writing is to give your argument credibility. Some writers quote too little, while others quote too much. Using too many quotations can be overwhelming to a reader and feel superficial. But the biggest problem that writers encounter when they use quotations is that they assume the quotations speak for themselves. In this lecture, I'll provide some templates that will help you choose quotations wisely and then frame them. Here's an example of a dangling quotation, the kind of quotation that a writer used and assumed it just spoke for itself. Janet Minsky is a forensic toxicologist. The victim ingested a lethal dose of cyanide. Also, the victim showed signs of struggle. Here's an example of a quotation that's framed much more effectively. Forensic toxicologist Janet Minsky told the court, "The victim ingested a lethal dose of cyanide." Her testimony may help convict the suspect. The second version we just looked at uses the format known as the quotation sandwich, an introduction statement followed by the quotation followed by an explanation statement. The introduction says who is speaking and sets up what the quotation says. The follow-up explanation statement explains why you consider the quotation to be important and what you believe it says. Here are some useful templates for introducing quotations. X states, as the prominent biologist puts it, according to X, X himself writes, in her book, X maintains that, writing in the Missoulian, X complains that, in X's view, X agrees when he writes, X disagrees when she writes, X further complicates matters when he writes. Now, here are some templates for explaining quotations. What X is saying is that, in other words, X believes that, X is insisting that, by making this statement, X is arguing that, X's point is that, the essence of X's argument is that, it's also important to pay attention to how you punctuate quotations. Punctuation for quotations is not always intuitive. In most cases, separate a quotation from the rest of the sentence with a comma or colon. She said, "Come back when you're ready." The report was insistent. Until the bus fleet is repaired, it should be grounded. In American English, place punctuation within the quotation mark. "Stand back from the edge," the sign warned. The sign warned, "Stand back from the edge." They always ask, how much wood could a woodchuck chuck? Use single quotation marks for a quotation within a quotation. The story described a boy who always asked, "Why do grown-ups always say, 'because I said so'?" Using templates in writing can feel awkward and artificial at first, but the more you play around with them, the more you will internalize them and build your own variations. The key is to practice. As you practice using quotations, make sure that you place your punctuation and quotation marks correctly so that you clearly delineate who is saying what.